Give me 1 minute more and I'll just go to full screen. That's better. And there we are. Good morning all, and lovely to see you. And we'll start the class today coming into a comfortable seated position. Really, however you choose, you can sit on the sofa if you prefer, or prop yourself up on cushions, or just sit down on the floor, cross-legged, kneeling, legs out in front, however you feel to be. Then bringing your hands down and a very light touch of your fingertips on the floor in front of you. Now let your eyes shut here now. And then just lift your fingertips. Oh, hello, we have John with us.
Hi.
Morning, just started. I was just trying to pop you on mute before we carry on.
Returned from my travels.
Well done, well done. I was thinking you were out there still actually, but it seems not. I was recording for your benefit even. Okay, lovely to see you, John. There we are. So here we all are. We'll start again here. So just bringing your fingertips down to the floor in front of you. Once you've got the fingertips on the floor, then allow your eyes to shut. Now with your eyes shut, feel the weight of your body. And as much as you can, see if you can just let go of the weight of the body. Which I know you're kind of doing anyway because you're sitting there and not moving too much. But just note if there's any sense of any tightness through the thighs and holding the shape of the body, maybe through the shoulders, along the neck or the skull, in the face. So seeing if you can relax the weight of the body, almost let go of that need to kind of be inside the body and controlling its movements, how it feels. Now lift up your fingertips now, so they're just hovering off the floor a little bit. And then bring them round to the sides of the body and then reconnect them to the floor. Just note any change in the sensation of the body. Maybe different muscles come into play, like through the core, stomach. Now feeling that contact of fingertips to floor, now lifting up the fingers and stretching the arms out to the sides of the body. Note how that sensation changes. Fingers no longer in contact. Then bringing them back down and note again how sensation changes, perception changes. Again, lift them. And again, note how the perception of sensation changes as fingers arrive back down. Now just do that a few more times in your own time. The point being, obviously we're not really stretching out here that much or doing that thing, but just to show you, just from very small movement, fingertips in contact with the floor or not. When you shut your eyes, so you're kind of not being pulled outwards by your senses, even such a small little movement kind of shifts the whole internal perception of what's going on. So it kind of follows then that as we move through our lives, through each day, we're kind of bombarded, the mind is, by a myriad, an infinite amount of different sensation within the organism of the body, which we then interpret and which then often becomes the basis of how we then perceive outwards when the senses get involved. The point of this exercise is really to note how involved or how dictated even we are with sensation, and how our understanding and our perception of sensation really does kind of colour, flavour, how we then perceive what's out there when we open our eyes. Eyes opening now. And with eyes open, wherever your knees are, if you bring knees together here, and we'll stretch out the legs in front of us. So with legs stretched out in front, we'll lift up the arms, and breathing in maybe as you do so, and just pausing there, arms up above the head. Doesn't matter if you want to bring arms into a curve, or you're going to stretch up, it doesn't matter at all. Reaching up though, each hand after the other. Stretch out into the sides of the body. Really stretch up underneath armpits. Now feel the space your hands are moving into above the head. And then we'll pause and arms are going to come into a V shape. Now draw into your belly here so you're supporting your spine. Stretch out into the wrists, breathe in. Arms will float up. And you're going to find your way into a forward fold. Now, however you want to arrive, it's Monday morning, bodies may be a little bit tight over from the weekend, if you've been out in the garden and all that kind of thing. So just go easily here into your forward fold. And if you are feeling particularly tight, do keep a little bit of flow from side to side so your spine isn't feeling stuck in the forward fold. Just moving the body within the shape. And for a few moments, as you're in your forward fold, now connect with your breath. And you can allow your breath to consciously deepen. You may find there's a little bit more space than you thought in your out breath, and that just helps a sense of ease within the body. Hands either sides of the legs now, so right hand on right leg, left hand on left leg. And walking your hands up and into sitting again, up along the legs. And arriving and sitting now, hands will just come either sides of the body and you'll plant your palms down. Now note if you do so, if your shoulders want to lift up. So shrugging the shoulders down and then lifting up through the spine. So your neck becomes as long as possible. And your spine is lifting from its base. As you go the pull to lift upwards and just letting the spine rise however it wants to lift. One more breath. And with an in-breath, we'll take a big circle through the arms, up over the head. And then again into forward fold, breathing out, arriving. In-breath, lifting up into another circle. Moving with your out-breath into forward fold. And up again. Into forward fold. In breath. And out breath, hands to the heart. And hands to the heart. We'll then come around and onto all fours. Now starting on all fours with a neutral spine. So just make sure the spine's not curved up too much or it's not flapping down too much. You've got a nice level spine. And using your core to support that lift, hands underneath the shoulders here, knees underneath the pelvis. We draw the right knee up and into the chest. Just pausing there for 1 or 2 breaths, really lifting that knee up as high as you can. When you're ready to move, the right knee will come around to the side, and you're circling with the knee all the way around and back into the core. One more breath or so here at the core. Another circle with your right knee. Take your time with that circle, feel your way into it, and then the right knee will drop down. Come back onto your heels now, stretching out your spine, stretching out the arms in front of you. With your next round of breath, you're arriving back to all fours, again with a neutral spine. And when you're ready to move your left knee into the chest, looking down at it, pausing there for a couple of rounds of breath. And then left knee will circle out and around. Take your time again to feel that rotation back in and into the chest. Left knee out and around. And left knee back to the mat. Coming into gate pose now. Knees around the hips width aside from one another. Left leg coming out to the side. Plant down the left foot as much as you can. Then scooping underneath the left thigh with your left hand, draw it up and back. Right arm will lift up. Left hand on the top of the left leg. And reaching up again with the right hand up into the space above you. One more round and then the left arm will come over. Taking your gaze skyward. And softening your gaze, really press down into your left foot to anchor the left leg. And left arm coming down. Find your way back to all fours, right hand in front of you and the left hand. And the left leg will swing in. Now, a little bit of sway of the pelvis from one side to the other, just to ease into the base of the spine here. And then, when you're ready to, right leg will come out to the side. We're lining up the top of the toes with the top of the knee, lifting up onto the knee, scooping underneath the right thigh with right hand, drawing it up and back to open up the front of the groin. Hand to the top of the thigh and left arm reaches up. Now a few breaths to lift up into the space above you with the left hand. And then pressing down into your right foot, the left arm will come over. Again, you can turn your gaze skyward. And with your next round of breath, again, hands coming down onto all fours. And once you're on all fours, you just move yourself back if you're not facing onto your mat. So you are on your mat now, facing forward, toes sucking under, knees bent, and lifting into down dog. Now let your head hang here beneath between the arms, between the shoulders. Keep your knees bent. And start to lift up with your knees bent still. Lift your heels up off the floor, away from the floor. Draw into your core, belly to spine. Press down into your hands, still a bit of bend through the knees, and then start to straighten out the backs of the legs, heels dropping down towards the floor. Long, deep breaths. One more. Then looking forward up towards your hands, a soft gaze. Get ready to walk or step or jump the feet up towards the top of your mat. Offering your spine, breathing in. And out breath, folding. Coming to rise, root down into your feet, the arms will float up. And out breath, hands into the heart. Feet hips width apart from one another, right arms floating up. And reaching up above the head with the right arm, take your left hand out behind you. So it's just crossing around the back of your waist. Fingers will kind of tuck into the right side of the waist. Reaching up with the right hand a couple of times. Root down into both feet. And then right arm's going to float over. Open up that left shoulder back a little bit. Right hand coming down to catch hold of the left hand. Both hands together, you can interlace the fingers there. Right elbow out to the side. Lovely. Coming into the side stretch again, hands on the waist. Draw that left shoulder back a little bit more. Interlacing, letting go of the fingertips, pardon me, hands lifting up above the head, a big V shape. And the eyes coming up towards the sky. Now keeping your left arm up there, bring your right arm around, so it's going to come to the side of the left side of the waist. Fingers pointing forward again. And reaching up now with your left hand. The next round of breath, and take your left arm over into the side stretch. See if you can wiggle your fingers of the right hand forward a little bit more around the waist. Take that right shoulder back. And your next round of breath, bringing the left hand down to the right hand at the side of the waist, interlace the fingers there, left elbow to the side, and then coming to the side stretch again. Arms arriving back either sides of the body and shrug out your shoulders. And once you've shrugged them out a couple of times here, then we continue that opening through the shoulders, fingertips coming to the shoulder points. And in breath, elbows up the center line, and out breath around the back of the body. Next round of breath. And hands coming to the heart, root down into both feet. And then we're going to step or jump the feet wider apart, down the mat. So feet are now a little distance wider apart, and you're going to rotate your right foot so it's pointing away from you. In breath, lunge into your right knee. Hands still at the heart. And hips are facing forward as much as you can, so you're drawing this left hip back. Come up to the center line again. Rotate your right foot, left foot pointing away from you. Keep that right hip easing back and then lunging down into the left knee. Coming up to the center line, rotate your feet back to parallel, rotate the right foot out again, lunge down into the right knee, draw this left hip back, arms out to the side of the body like wings. Turn your gaze down your right arm. And hands back to the heart. Keep the legs where they are. Right hand scooping over your front knee and left arm lifting up and over. Come back to your center line, both arms out to the sides. And rotating your right foot back, facing forward. Now to your left side, rotate the foot away from you, lunge down on the left knee. Again, just be aware of that right hip. See if you can ease it back a little bit. Arms out either sides, gaze down the front arm. Left arm scooping over the front thigh and right arm lifting up and over. Taking yourself now into a forward fold, feet wide apart, hands will come down to the center of the body, feet at either sides. Now don't adjust the feet here, just bring the hands down in front of you, fingertips to the floor. In breath, look forward, and out breath, folding down the length in between the legs. And with your next round of breath, bring your hands to the hips and start to ease up and back into standing again. Rotating your left foot now away from you. And from here, we're going to come into down dog. So windmill, lift your arms up above the head. And then reaching forward and down. Hands will frame the front foot. And we'll step back into down dog. Now again, bend your knees when you arrive in down dog and lift your sit bones as high up away from you as you can. At the same time, draw the spine towards your thighs. And then in-breath coming down onto your knees and out-breath arriving back on the heels, arms stretched out in front of you. And slowly finding your way up into kneeling. Now arriving in kneeling, take your left arm over to the right side of the skull. Right hand's just going to be lightly down to the floor or else on the right knee. And just allow the skull to pull the skull over to the left hand side. Just as far so you feel that lovely sense of stretch down the top of the shoulder, down the top of the neck, into the shoulder. Coming back to the center line, over to the other side, right hand over to the left side of the skull. Making sure that left shoulder drops down, so it may want to rise up as you pull the skull over. Right hand now, just at the back of the skull, the right elbow is pointing out to the side. Mirror that on your left side, interlacing your fingers behind the skull and drawing your elbow points back. Then just lightly easing the skull forward, chin to throat. Keep your elbow points drawing back. And then letting go of the arms, in breath, lifting up on the knees, arms up above the head, out breath, hands to heart. Reaching forward with the hands, tucking under your toes, and with the toes tucked under, just pushing back so your heels come to the floor and you're lifting up and into standing. Reach all the way up with the hands, out breath, arriving into forward fold. Arriving in forward fold, fingers down towards the floor. And hands coming down in front of you, just a little distance. So almost like you would kind of come onto all fours with your hands. Take your knees down. Sit back on your heels. Toes are tucked under here. Hands on the knees. A big in-breath. Circle up with your arms. Hands coming down again. And using your hands like a lever to very slowly push your feet back. So you're going to arrive on the heels. And as you arrive on the heels, start to lift up, arriving back into standing again. Now the arms to circle. And out breath, coming back down into forward fold. Couple of breaths in your forward fold.
And then bringing your hands forward, bend your knees as much as you need to here. So hands are down on the floor. Drop the knees down, toes still tucked under. Sit back on your heels. Big circle through the arms. Coming into standing again, so the hands will come down to the floor. And you're using your hands as that lever to tip your feet back, planting them on the floor and then lifting up into standing. Deep in breath, out breath into forward fold. Riding into sun salutation now in your forward fold. In breath, after your spine, look forward. Palms coming down, and we'll step back into down dog. Just a breath here to align the body in down dog, reaffirm those lines, lift up to your sit bones, draw your spine back towards your thighs, bit of bend through the knees. And then moving with your in-breath down onto all fours. Draw back towards your heels on all fours. And looking between the hands, breathing in, moving forward into Cobra. Find your way up and back into Down Dog. And from Down Dog, looking forward, stepping the feet up towards hands. In breath, off the spine, out breath, folding. Coming up to rise, breathe in, out breath back to the heart. Arriving at the heart, jumping, stepping the feet a little distance apart from one another again. Rotating your right foot. Lunge forward on the right knee, hands still at the heart, and root down into your left foot. When you're ready to open the arms, open them up. Gaze down the right arm. Next breath. We're coming to the side stretch, right arm over the front thigh, left arm reaching up and over. Arriving back into Warrior Two again, arms to either sides. And then we're going to swing the arms around the front of the body, over to the other side, rotating feet as you go. Lunge into your left leg, arms lifting up either sides. Turn the gaze down the front arm. And into the side stretch. Left arm over the left thigh, right arm over. And then bringing the hands down either sides of that left foot. And from there, stepping back into down dog. Come down onto all fours and arriving back into child. Arms stretched out in front of you. Now finding your way into Cobra, look forward, scoop forward with the body, slide legs back, In breath, lifting into cobra. And out breath for finding your way back and into down dog. We just pad a little bit from side to side in down dog. We bend one knee and turn, ease back into the other foot. And then both heels lifting as high as you can. Draw your belly back towards your legs. And we bring the feet forward up towards hands. Off your spine. Breathe out and fold. And lifting up and into standing again. Both feet together. Right arm floating up over the head. Take it over to the left-hand side. And bringing your left hand up to join the right, palms together. Right arm coming down, and your left arm stretching over the skull. Right hand side. Once you've taken a breath or so there, right arm will come up to join the left. Palms together again. And then both arms circling down, and you're back into standing. Eyes shutting now in standing. Take your chin to the throat with the eyes shut. Draw your shoulders back, so it's a bit hard to speak there. And start to lift your chin up again. Keep anchoring down into your feet to feel steady. Follow your breath. Just noting how quickly perception changes as the body, it fluctuates, is in flux. Eyes opening. Turning your palms facing forward, draw into your belly, allow the spine to lift, the crown to lift upwards, and in breath, the palms will float up. Your out breath, take yourself into forward fold. With your in breath off your spine, and out breath folding again. Coming to rise again, root down into both feet. Hands back to your heart. Lifting up your heels. Lifting your letting your heels drop back down. Your toes lifting. Coming back up off the heels. Bending your knees, heels lifting, so I'm getting a bit tongue-tied there. Heels down. Let the body straighten and rise. Heels lifting again. Heels still lifting, knees bending. Keep heels still lifting. Lift up.
and dropping the heels down. Toes lifting. Drop the toes down. Just arriving in standing, your eyes shutting. Feeling the sole of the foot, each foot in contact with the floor. And eyes opening again. Taking a big jump or a big step now, feet coming either side down the mat, distance apart from you, draw into the belly. And as if you were lifting your heels, but you're not. So root down the heels, but then let the body lift up into the core. Little bend through the knees, and then stepping or jumping back. Once apart, rotate the right foot and lunge. Now drawing back that left hip again. Arms going to float out like wings. Gaze down the front arm. Root firmly into both feet. Front palm up. And we're going to bring that front palm over the front thigh again. Left arm coming up and over. And then we're going to scoop the body all the way across the front of the body and over to the other side. Rotate your feet as you do. Lunge into that front knee and then open up into the arms. Again, remember to draw that right hip back a little bit if you can. Next round of breath, front palm turns up, lift up the front arm, and then left arm over the left thigh, the palms up, right arm up and over. And take yourself into a forward fold with wide legs apart. Forward, out breath, folding. And with your next round of breath, looking forward again, hands out in front of you. And we're going to bring the right knee down to the floor and then the left knee down, so you're back and into all fours. And arriving on all fours, just check that your hands are underneath shoulders. And coming into cat, the spine curving, just pausing there for a few breaths. Arriving in cow, the sit bones tilting up, gaze lifting, softening the gaze. And then easing back and into cow again, into cat again. And start to move with your breath from one into the other. And just allowing your spine to move quite freely here. To move with the breath.
And over the next round of breath or so, bring yourself back towards your heels. And from the heels, easing your way forward onto the belly. And hands underneath your shoulders here. A long in-breath, lifting into cobra. An out-breath, coming back down. Let yourself relax fully, lying down on your belly. And then in-breath, another lift into cobra. Out-breath, arriving back down. And once you arrive back down now, making a little cushion for your head. So one set of fingertips on top of the other. And your forehead is resting on top of the fingertips. And then hands on into cobra, breathe in. And take yourself back to all fours. And then back to your heels. And sitting back on the heels, so then swing the legs around in front of you again. Feet are lifting up towards the ceiling. So just making adjustments so you feel secure there, both sit bones easing down. And then in breath, the arms can float up. With arms above the head, if you reach up with your arms, as if you're kind of reaching up to something above the head. Turn your gaze up. And just pausing there, looking upwards for a breath. Breathe in. And out breath, letting your spine travel forwards. And hands can come to rest. Little bend through the elbows. And letting your head tuck down, chin to throat. And arriving up and into sitting again. So coming down onto your spine now. And arriving down on the spine, bring your knees into the chest. You just rock a little bit one side to the other of the spine. Just massage out the lower spine for a few moments. And then take the knees into a circle. Then dropping your left foot down to the floor, so the left knee's bent up to the ceiling, hugging your right knee in, taking your right knee out to the side. You circle it back in towards the left knee, draw it back in, take it out to the side, and back round. Do one more.
And then hugging the right knee in as closely as you can, interlace your fingers and bring the weight of the hands down onto the right shin. At the same time, draw your left knee away from you, even though it's anchored on the floor. It's like you're pushing the left knee away from you. And dropping right knee down to the floor. Your left knee is coming now into the chest. Anchor down into your right foot. Then left hand or both hands on that left knee, take it out to the side. Draw it back in. Back around, another circle. Take time to feel your way around the circumference of this circle. And then hugging left knee in and bringing the fingers interlaced on top of the left shin. As you hug in the left knee, ease your right shin, your right knee away from you. And then hands back on both knees. Now either reaching to the back of the thighs or else reaching down to the outer edge of the feet. Bring the shins up towards ceiling and then knees out to either side. So if you're using the back of the thighs, you're just holding there just to kind of support the body a little bit or wherever feels comfortable to you. Next round of breath. And bringing your feet together, down to the floor, knees up to the ceiling, and stretching your arms up and over your head. Now just shuffle your feet so the hips width apart here. And start to gently ease your knees away from the body. As the knees ease away, you'll notice your pelvis lifts a fraction. Just pause there, the pelvis lifting a fraction off the floor. And from that point, rooting down into your feet, start to lift your pelvis so you're lifting up into a bridge. Let your chin lift away from the throat. Next round of breath. And you're lowering your pelvis slowly back down to the floor. Take your hands down to the knees, draw them back into the core. And feet coming back down to the mat. Knees up to the ceiling, arms over the head. And once the arms arrive, just easing the knees away from you a fraction so the pelvis eases up. And then lifting little by little into a bridge. In your next round of breath also start to ease down.
And again, hug the knees into the chest. Now, however you want to just ease out into the lower spine. From side to side in circles, just being still. And then when you're ready to, feet dropping down and stretching out the legs. And you're arriving into Shavasana, arms either sides of the body. And letting your eyes shut here. And coming into rest. Few moments of stillness. If you want to stay longer in Shavasana, then do carry on lying down now. Otherwise, starting to bring fingers together. Moving toes one side to the other. And putting a little bit of movement in the head from side to side. And with your eyes still shut, you then bend knees and roll over onto the side of the body. And stay here for a few breaths. And when you're ready to, you then come on up and into sitting.
Now arriving and sitting and letting your eyes shut, comfortable seat, however you choose. And again, just feeling your body's weight settle onto the floor. Note how the mind gets pulled by different sensations, often those where there's a certain discomfort within them, a perception of discomfort. And bringing your awareness to your breath now, away from sensation and really to the touch of the breath. Noting the different feeling, tone of the breath. And hands coming up to the heart. And hands at the heart, bowing forward and closing practice.